years? How many years did Muslims rule India for?
Maybe 300.
Hundreds and hundreds of years, right?
Okay, right.
If they wanted to wipe out every single Hindu and destroy every single temple, they could have done so, couldn't they?
Not necessarily. I mean, that
Really?
would be
They
like
had power for hundreds. They had power for hundreds of years. They were
sure.
capable of killing. They were capable of killing apparently 200 million Hindus. But guess what? They couldn't finish them all off.
Right.
It just,
Sure.
look. The thing here, Michael, is this. Yeah.
Well,
And
it's like look at America.
Michael,
Can I speak?
Michael, this is the problem, right? This is the problem.
Okay.
You've come here. You quoted a figure. You've just pulled it out of thin air, quite frankly, because it's not historical.
No, I read it on a website, and it was actually.
Yeah, but I know, but Michael, you know what it is. I don't go to the Ku Klux Klan website to find out about black Africans, do I? I don't do that, do I, Michael? I don't.
No,
It would just be something absurd to do, right? I wouldn't go to the Ku Klux Klan website to find out about black rights in Africa. I wouldn't do that, or black rights, in America. I wouldn't do that, would I? Because that to me that would be stupid, right? That would be completely stupid to do, right? So what I'm trying to say,
are liars.
Michael, what I'm trying to say to you is that if we're going to have an honest discussion, and we're going to have a discussion that's based upon balance and fairness, which has got some evidence to back it up and something with history, and I think this is what shows the veracity and the strength of Islam, and I'll tell you why. Because everyone I seem to speak to that wants to try to attack Islam inevitably will end up in falsehood, nonsense, hearsay. I read it on a website. My friend told me in a pub after we had 15 pints, therefore it's true. It sort of resorts to this sort of nonsense. And I think what that shows us is if there really was something beefy, something really of force, of something of power to convince the masses about what Islam is false, people would bring it forward. But the very fact that they have to bring in fabrication, lies, manipulations, and just utter hearsay, it just shows the veracity of Islam, quite frankly. It just shows, and I'm talking about non-Muslim historians. When you look at the works of Karen Armstrong, when you look at Leslie Hazelton, when the agnostic Jew, when you look at what they say about the Muslim empire, when you look at the historical information provided by Professor Roy Casagranda, look at his works, Roy Casagranda, and how the Muslim empire, how they behaved, how the caliphs behaved, how the armies behaved. I'm not saying it was rosy all the time. It was perfect, that you won't find areas and times where things were done which were un-Islamic, which were bad. But even if you go to non-Muslim historians, the Roy Casagranda is a classic one when he talks about the conquest of Jerusalem. How when Umar Khattab, the second caliph, comes into Jerusalem and he questions the Christian, he says, "Where are the Jews?" And he says, "We killed them. We threw them out of the city. They're not here anymore." And what does Umar Khattab radiallahu anhu do? The second caliph of Islam, the most powerful man in the Islamic empire. He says, "You cannot do this." And he turns to a new convert and he says, "Go and find me 80 Jewish families." And he reinstates them in Jerusalem. This is our history. Alhamdulillah. We're proud of it. We're proud of our history. So when you come up with this sort of nonsense, you got to back it up with evidence, hard, rock solid evidence. Not I read it on a website. I don't go to the Ku Klux Klan. Don't go to Hindutva websites to learn about what Muslims did in India or anywhere else for that matter. Go to independent, not Muslim sources. Go to independent historians who are widely accepted. Their works are widely accepted to be truthful, to be correct. And they support our stance of what Islam was historically, not your stance, and not the other guy who came from, South America or whatever, not his stance, but our stance. And they're not Muslim, by the way. And I think that's important.
Okay.
And that shows the veracity of Islam, quite frankly.